Come on in. Welcome to Idled Out, where we talk all things Survivor. My name is Luke, and today we're reviewing Survivor 45. To give you the Cliffs Notes, I think this is probably the best of the new era from both a mechanical and storytelling perspective. More than that, I think this is the season that finally threaded the needle of the riskiness they want the new era to have, while still giving players agency in the game. 90-minute episodes allowed the story to breathe and the editors to experiment, get silly, and take storytelling risks. And although this wasn't my favorite cast of the new era, I do think the extended episodes gave us the clearest picture of the personalities of the players of any season, maybe ever. So today, I want to review the good and the not so good of Survivor 45. I'll be looking at the 4 things that I think make or break a Survivor season: game mechanics and twists, challenges, narrative and editing, and the cast. And I'll give my thoughts on each category. Where did the season succeed, and where was there room for improvement? What will its legacy be? Will Survivor 45 climb the season ladder over time, or will it sit waterlogged and out of breath at the bottom? All that said, let's take one last in-depth look at Survivor 45. Let's start the review by looking at what has been the most common point of contention between fans and production in recent years: game mechanics and twists. I think a lot of you would agree that Survivor went a little overboard on the twists and advantages in the new era, especially early on. Hourglasses, do or dies, knowledges, powers, shots in the dark. Earn the merge, split at 10, okay, you're merged again, bank a vote, choose your champion, the weird vacuum advantage Sarah got. Bet you forgot about that one. Survivor's introduced a lot of new mechanics and twists in the new era, some good, some not so good, in their quest to make the show more dangerous for the players. I think it's fair to say that some fans found this to be overkill, but I personally think that the show in Survivor 45 has finally reached an equilibrium with the danger they're seeking in the new era versus letting the players play the game. One advantage a lot of fans do like are the beware advantages, and I love the way Survivor has made obtaining idols a truly risky endeavor, whether that's your vote or getting caught publicly. And the way Survivor's found to make idols difficult to get in the new era is consistently impressive to me. Sabaya's wax idol she had to burn in full view of everyone here is the clear winner of Survivor 45, but across the board, I appreciate how tough it is to find idols now. I mean, when was the last time players had to actually use honest-to-goodness idol clues? In the age of idol hunting superfans, Survivor's done the impossible and actually made idols as dangerous to pursue and as hard to find as they were upon their introduction, and the players really have to work to earn them. I mean, really. Calm down there, Jakey. Least you could do is buy that raft dinner first. Another mechanic I've personally enjoyed, which paid off big time, is the shot in the dark. As the world's #1 shot in the dark defender, other than Caleb, allow me to take a victory lap. Just like the immunity idol, it took a few seasons to hit, but boy, did it hit. Shot in the Dark has fully earned its keep as a mechanic in the game, and I think it'll be fun to watch the Shot in the Dark meta develop in future seasons. As for the other advantages on the season, I never really felt like it went overboard. I might feel differently had Bruce and Brandon risked their votes and won an advantage on that first journey. I mean, God knows what they might have received. But neither the safety without power, the goodwill advantage, or the advantage amulet are particularly overpowered or busted or anything like that. Again, I might feel differently if Brandon and Bruce had come away from the summit with advantages and I needed to make an Excel spreadsheet to keep track of it all. But overall, I think advantages are in a pretty good spot. Speaking of good spots, the tribe swap is where you can go from a good one to a bad one, and we got our first full-blown, honest-to-goodness new era swap in Survivor 45. I don't have much to say about this other than the curveball came at the perfect time. After 4 seasons of players being programmed not to expect one. This is something fans have been wanting in the new era, and I think pretty much everyone would agree that the swap was a welcome return. Well, everyone except Brando. If I have one major complaint about the season mechanically, it's that I still think having Mergatory, then immediately following it up by splitting the tribes a round or two later is overkill. I'm totally fine with one or the other. I like Earn the Merge a lot, but earning the merge, then merging for real for a round, then unmerging again at 10, then finally actually merging for real this time is like being friends with the couple who keep breaking up and getting back together. My advice would be to stick with Earn the Merge and dump the split tribes at 10, and just shove your double boot at the end of the pre-merge. Overall though, not going to complain too hard here. We got our swap, the players got to play, Shot in the Dark paid off, and advantages were fair and earned. Next, let's move on to challenges. Say it with me. Thank you, Carson. 45 was a straight up good challenge season, with new puzzles, new challenges, and some returning classics with new twists. Like, if you didn't like the challenges this season, I genuinely do not know what to say. The new puzzles were inventive, fun, and challenging. Classic endurance comps made very welcome appearances in the post-merge. And the pre-merge had some physically brutal challenges too. Shout out to the heavy cage from episode 4 and the multi-level obstacle course from episode 5. Overall, lots of multi-stage relays in the pre-merge, and a mix of races and endurance comps in the post-merge, with an impossible-seeming dexterity challenge to close things out. It's a familiar formula in the new era, but challenges were consistently exciting, served to reveal insights into our characters, and I genuinely looked forward to each of them. Finally, I'll just throw the auction in here too. After waiting 8 years for it to return, this felt like a hug from an old friend. Updated and modified for the new era, it was a blast, with iconic meals with iconic price tags, and an instant classic dud item. This was a top 3 auction of all time. Can we get touchy subjects next? Next, let's move on to narrative and editing. This is the story and how it was told. You can almost cleave this story in two, pre and post Caleb. The first half of the story was centered largely on the Lulu Losers, a tribe seemingly hand-selected to fail, and fail they did. Strategically, socially, laterally. They're the first 4 boots of the season, then we lose some minor characters, but the last gasp of this tribe is Caleb's final 11 ouster. The second half of the season focused on Reba domination. For the new era, the actual story of what happened is pretty old school. One tribe essentially picks off another. If you're someone who watches this show primarily for gameplay, I do see how this season could be frustrating for you. I mean, Lulu, enough said, but few tribes have folded faster than Bello did against Reba, and the Kendra and Bruce boot episodes where Bello seemed hell-bent on getting in their own way was admittedly annoying from a gameplay POV. But the show spruced up the pagonging as best they could, and they did a good job of giving us just enough hope that the underdogs might pull through, while making it clear to us by the end that a Reba deserved to win. I don't think the story itself, like what actually happened in real life, is really all that much to write home about. Outside of Lulu's destruction and the Caleb Shot in the Dark, this was a pretty standard season of Survivor on paper. But what makes it special is that thanks to the 90-minute episodes, they took risks in how they told the story. I loved every little weird moment spent with this cast. Like, the Playing with the Boys montage should go down in history as one of the greatest needle drops ever. If you weren't smiling during this scene, you have no pulse. Even when the editing mix-ups didn't really work for me, I'm thinking that episode 7 tribal flash forward, I appreciated that the show was experimenting with how they present the story to viewers. It was a very solid season of Survivor, made infinitely better by the extended runtime. Finally, let's look at the most important part of any Survivor season, in my opinion, the cast. Here's how I evaluate a Survivor cast. Were the players good in confessionals? They have dynamic personalities? Were they interesting to watch? Was there a variety of play styles and approaches to the game? And was there a variety of lifestyles and life experiences represented? I will be honest, casting this season was a mixed bag for me, full of really high highs and, well, far from the lowest lows ever, but some lows. Obviously, we have to talk about the quits. An occasional quit here or there I get. You simply cannot cast a reality show this long without a few people throwing in the towel. But with 2 in 1 season, it's clear something went askew in casting this year. In hindsight, both quits are very funny, and narratively, it even makes sense that a tribe as pathetic as Lulu had 1/3 of them quit, but it's not great for the health of the show overall to have 2 players quit in the age of super fan casting. Additionally, I do think we went a little overboard with the nerd archetype this season. Casting is about balance, but the scales were weighed far too heavily in the geek category. I get that casting can give seasons personality by casting more attractive people, or geeky people, or athletic people, or dumb people than usual. But when Sean, Emily, and J. Maya could all also fit into the Survivor geek archetype, did we really need Drew and Brandon and Brando on the same season? I mean, 2 of them even have the same name. I don't really get why one of these guys couldn't have been punted to 46 and one of the more athletic guys from that season subbed in here for a little balance of the scales. Overall though, a solid cast. Jake, Caleb, Sabaya, and Drew were all super magnetic narrators, and their personalities burst off the screen. And Emily was one of the most inspired casting choices of the new era. I appreciated that players also had a variety of approaches to the game and skill levels as well. We really ran the gamut in gameplay approaches, and I like that. We had players play loyalty-driven games, erratic, Tony-style games, and players who didn't even want to play at all. 42's cast is the benchmark to beat in the new era, but most of this cast delivered. So what did I think of the season overall? And what will the season's legacy be? Well, I enjoyed this season a lot. It cannot be overstated just how big of a game changer the 90-minute episodes were. And for the first time in a long time, I felt I got to know even minor characters really well. More importantly, I think the season could signal a bit of a shift in Survivor, when Survivor finally got the balance right of the new era danger they're seeking and player agency. The game felt dangerous, but I don't feel like anyone got massively twist-screwed in some egregious way by the Survivor equivalent of an endgame Mario Party star. It genuinely feels like the show is listening to fans on a lot of fronts. Assuming Survivor sticks with 90 minutes permanently beyond Survivor 46, which I feel like is a good but not certain bet, 45 could be the start of a new era within the new era. Overall, Survivor 45 is greater than the sum of its parts, and it just makes me happy to see a Survivor season succeed so hard, and I really think we owe that to the 90-minute episodes. I cannot get the little moments that likely would have been left on the cutting room floor in a season with 60-minute episodes, like the boys montage, or Dee awkwardly talking about her buff, or that dancing stick bug, out of my mind. Long after I've forgotten why Kendra was voted out, or what Drew's immunity puzzle said, or who voted Sifu, those silly moments will still be floating around my brain, making me smile every time I think about Survivor 45. And you'll notice I didn't include Dee's toes, you f***ing perverts. Got nothing else for ya. What did you think of Survivor 45? Do you agree with me or not? Let me know. Until next time, don't get idled out.